This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, Favour Williams, says Jamaica has now experienced 11 consecutive quarters of economic growth. Williams made the boast on Wednesday as she addressed journalists at the post-cabinet media briefing at Jamaica House. Giving an update on the state of the economy, Williams said GDP growth for the July to September quarter of 2018 at the end of December was 1.8%.
This current administration is the only administration that has delivered 11 consecutive quarters of positive GDP growth if you look at all the administrations dating back for the last 21 years. Additionally, the average quarterly GDP growth of 1.28% that this administration has delivered is 3 times that of the average quarterly GDP of prior administrations over the same period.
Minister Williams boasted that with the continued growth, Jamaica Labour Party government has achieved a first for any administration in Jamaica over the past 2 decades. Minister Williams also cited other positives, such as the low unemployment numbers and soaring business and consumer confidence, as signs that the economy is on the right track.
For businesses, the figures are saying that the company's willingness to invest in new plant and equipment is at the highest in the history of the survey. Companies are also expecting to increase their sales and profits in 2019. For consumers, their higher confidence is reflected both in the current economic conditions and in their expectation of more jobs to be created. And all of this confidence is manifesting itself in credit from deposit-taking institutions or banks. We're seeing strong credit growth to the business sector. We're also seeing companies access the corporate bond market through the FSC's exempt distribution category. The latest Bank of Jamaica figures showed funds raised by corporate bonds through exempt distribution increased 40%. Individuals are also getting more credit from banks.
And Minister Williams also noted that women are experiencing the lowest unemployment rate at 11.2%, down from a high of 21.3% in April 2013. Jamaica House yesterday sought to clarify comments made by Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Sanse Bennett-Templer, on Tuesday at the Public Accounts Committee, PAC, where she had an update on the forensic audit of $5.2 billion in oil losses at Petrojam over the past 5 years. Bennett-Templer had told the committee that the terms of reference, TOR, for the audit were completed and were to be put to public tender. Several members, including Junior Minister in the OPM, Everald Warmington, protested the decision to have Petrojam define the TOR and manage the audit project. Yesterday, in a release, the OPM stated that not only was Petrojam not being asked to undertake a forensic audit or appoint a forensic auditor, but that no TOR have been finalized or approved by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. The Prime Minister ordered the forensic audit last month following the publication of a damning Auditor General's report on the operations of Petrojam and some aspects of its parent company, the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica. Mathematics teachers from across the world, notably those from Japan, Singapore and Finland, which are regarded as mathematically high-achieving countries, will be participating in a mathematics summit being organized by the Micro University College. The Micro International Mathematics Teaching Summit, being held in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, will take place at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, March 25 to March 27. This inaugural event is the first of its kind in the Caribbean region, and it will have as its theme, Mathematics for Economic Growth and Job Creation. The Mathematics Summit will address issues related to national development. Notably, how can mathematics be utilized effectively to build human capacity for the creative and innovative use of science and technology for economic growth, job creation, and sustainable development?
Not often do we associate a subject matter with growth and development. But if we look at the countries that are moving ahead, we realize that there is some correlation between their growth and development and mathematics and performance in school. So much so that Finland has moved away from subject matter. Hence we forget what the real things are in the classroom.
President of the Jamaica University College, Dr. Osborne Pinnock, speaking at the launch of the summit on Wednesday, which was held on campus. He explained that the world's greatest inventions were based on applied mathematics skills. For example, the pyramids, the Great Wall of China, placing men in space, etc.
Now, today, mathematical skills remain paramount for modern development, including urban centers, engineering, medicine, the stock market, distribution industry, technology, to include Silicon Valley.
The summit will focus on best practices for teaching mathematics. Pro-Vice Chancellor at the MICO, Professor Neville Ying, noted alternative strategies outside the classroom.
How do you relate it to what young people are interested in? What are they interested in now? Music, entertainment, arts, and so that's why we have one of the sessions dealing with that. So you have to make mathematics something that's enjoyable, something that they relate to in their daily lives. And that's the key to it, really. How to break down these concepts that are sounding so difficult into real life.
There is a renewed debate on the reform of the country's abortion laws before the Human Resource and Physical Development Committee of Parliament, which heard submissions from two impassioned individuals this week. The committee is reviewing a private member's motion tabled by West Rural St. Andrew Member of Parliament, Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn, calling for Parliament to consider the recommendations of the 2007 Abortion Policy Group. At the sitting, 45-year-old general surgery practitioner and former consultant surgeon at the University Hospital of the West Indies, Dr. Charles Royce, dismissed the argument that legalizing abortion will reduce maternal death. He pointed out that there is no evidence that abortions contribute significantly to maternal deaths. He told the committee that among the main direct causes of maternal mortality are hypertensive diseases in pregnancy, hemorrhaging, ectopic pregnancies, and infection. Cuthbert-Flynn had called on the legislature to take steps to repeal Section 72 and 73 of the Offences Against the Persons Act, which criminalizes abortions, and establish a, quote, Termination of Pregnancy Act, as recommended by the Abortion Policy Review Group. The committee currently has 12 submissions before it, and it is scheduled to resume its sitting on February 27. The US dollar on Wednesday, January 30, ended trading at Jamaican $134.71, up by 29 cents. According to the Bank of Jamaica's daily foreign exchange trading summary, the Canadian dollar ended trading at Jamaican $103.45, up from Jamaican $103.23, while the British pound sterling ended trading at Jamaican $174.24, up from Jamaican $174.07. Motorists should see a decrease at the pumps in the price of gasoline and increase in the price of diesel effective today, according to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam. 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $116.74 and $119.58 per litre, respectively down by $1.83 each. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $127.34 per litre, following an increase of 68 cents, while ultra-low sulfur diesel is up by 66 cents and will be sold for $131.07 per litre. Meanwhile, kerosene increased in price by $1.60 and will be sold for $106.64 per litre. Remember, Marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markup to these prices. In regional news, Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association is asking the High Court to determine whether its members should be compensated for marking school-based assessments conducted by the Barbados-based Caribbean Examination Council. The union is also asking the High Court to rule on compensation for teachers regarding their continued work on the CXC's Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate and the Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examination, CAPE exams. It is claiming that the issue has been in contention since it agreed to job descriptions for the Chief Personnel Officer in the Ministry of Education in 2000. The union said that teachers performing their duties reasonably and diligently cannot mark SBAs unless they use their personal time. It also is arguing that the situation is exacerbated by an inefficient online registration system, which was introduced by CXC back in 2012. In sports, the Jamaica Olympic Association, JOA, launched its Women in Sport Commission, a call to action to empower girls and women to participate in sports and become decision makers. President of the JOA, Christopher Samuda, speaking during the launch at its Kingston headquarters, Olympic Manor this week, said, quote, "This is in fact a historic moment for the Jamaica Olympic Association. It is the first time that we're inaugurating a Women in Sport Commission, a mandate that has been articulated for several years by the International Olympic Commission and which has gained expression in several countries," end quote. Nicole Case is chairperson of the commission working in sport to eliminate gender bias, increase participation, and advocate women's leadership. At its launch this week, the body named as its first IOC 2018 Women in Sport honoree Yvonne Kong for her work in promoting development and participation of women and girls in sport. And that's the news on PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.